Hello, this little video is an overview of the button configuration on the Honda NT1100. So let's turn it on and see what we get. Two screens, top one, bottom one. Bottom one contains all of the normal main information you need as riding the bike. So it's miles per hour, it's the number of miles, so it's 905 miles I've done. Gear position and various other bits and pieces. You can see I've got the lights on. Hit enter when it comes up and it comes to the screen. So quick word about the screen. Three icons along the bottom. One of them is the power, one is high, 3 is low, so it's set to 1. Engine braking set to 2, set to middle. Traction control is as high as it goes and it's at 1. We've got our temperature, we've got fuel, I'm needing to get some fuel, and we're gear position. Along the top we've got the temperature of the ambient temperature, we've got the time, so it's 3:24, it's 11 degrees today. The bike has a number of different modes called, well, let's just go through them. Tour, User 2, Rain, User 1, and Urban. So I've set mine up just the way I want it on Tour, and I'm quite happy with that. This one here has 4 different boxes. It's got various information on it that you can configure and change, various trips, instant fuel consumption. You've even got the date there, so there's today's date, it's the 4th of May 2023, and a traction control screen. So that's the screen. Let's talk about buttons, because it's been called QWERTY keyboard and all the rest of it, and there are a lot of buttons, but I actually think Honda have got it right, because this is a tour bike. And the last thing I want to do, even though this is a touchscreen, is when I'm riding is take my hands off and touching this. I've got all the controls at my fingertips, and they may look quite daunting to begin with, but to be honest with you, I found it really easy. So let's start at the right hand side. At the back here we have a function button, and if we press the function button, let me just take my hand, you will see that it brings up the heated grips, auto light settings, the spotlights, and the volume control. So there's 4 different options on the function, and when you go to press that, and on the left hand side this button here allows you then to change the settings on each of the different configurations. So the heated grips are off. So that's the function key, nice and simple. At the top, stop start, just like normal. Down at the bottom is your cruise control and your plus and minus for changing the setting. Nice and simple. Do find it a bit of a stretch at times, you know, sit holding, especially if I've got my fingers over the brake, and then, but you get used to it. This one here is the control for the VCT. So if you press that across that way, you put the bike in fully in manual, and with the 2 bottom flappy paddles here at the bottom, you can go down the gearbox and you can go up the gearbox. First press of the button takes you into drive, second press of the button takes you into sports mode, and by holding the button down when you're in sports mode you can cycle through the different options of 1, 2 and 3. Pressing that again puts you back into neutral. So really quite simple. A lot of functionality there, but it's not difficult in my mind. Nice and simple. So let's go and have a look at this one on the left hand side. So this is the one that seems to bring controversy, but to me, for a tour bike, it works wonderfully well, to be honest with you, because it means I don't have to take my hands off to go touching the screen to go through some of the functions that I may perhaps need whilst I'm riding. So we've already talked about the flappy paddles at the bottom, up and down, so that's quite. You have your indicators left and right. You have hazard warning, so you can see we're getting the hazard warnings coming up there. So all of this is all quite simple and straightforward. If you go to the top and flick that, you will see the headlights coming on. That's a full beam. You go down that way, and that way is your flash of your full beam. So all nice and simple and straightforward. You got your horn, which is pretty straightforward, and we've got a set of buttons here that you think of it as a navigation. So this one here moves us left to right in some of the displays. So if you look at this one here, if I go to the right, it takes me through the various different options of a display that I have there, which is fine. This is your enter key, so if I pull this button here, that takes me into the settings menu. This is an up and down arrow to navigate through those settings. Of course, I don't have to use any of this. I can use the touchscreen, but I prefer using this. And this key is simply a back key. So if I go into settings, and you can see I've got various different settings there. If I hit the back key, that takes me up. If I go back up to here and do riding information, that will take me back to my common display. So all these buttons here, all really simple, all right at the touch of your hand, nice and easy. So when you're riding your bike in a tour, which is what this bike is, all your controls are there for you. Last two buttons on this display are to do with the media. So that takes you to your next song, that takes you to your previous song. That is a godsend when you're on a tour, when you're riding, when you're doing miles, when you are and previously I had great difficulty changing to the next song if I didn't particularly want to hear that one there. Oh, here's the song I've got on. No, don't like it. Click, click, click. You can go through. Okay, two buttons to cover off at the front. This one here is in conjunction with your function key, back and forward. In this configuration, you can actually change the volume of your media. So that's good. That's another thing. You can turn the sound down or up or whatever. This one here actually takes you into your menu, which is absolutely fine. So there we go. That's a quick overview of the buttons in the display. Really finding it quite easy. Oh, one last thing before I go. This is got two functions you can program onto this. I think it may be traction control you can change. Yeah, there we go. You can see that I can change traction control to 2, to 3, to 1 at the touch of the button. There's also, you can program it to some other function. I can't remember what it is, but I never touch that. I don't need to. Okay, there are lots of functions about this display, but I'll take you through them at another time. I'll show you. It's got Android Play and it's got Apple Play. Not that either of the two are of interest to me, but one day I'll take you through it. Alright, hopefully you find that interesting. Thanks for watching. Bye bye for now.